What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So the last video and live stream, it was pretty depressing. The reason being the Magnum fell off the lift. I have countless hours into this thing, putting it together, 30 minutes away from driving it. Yes, I was pretty sad. So obviously it was gonna be kind of depressing. I know a lot of people were like, oh, it was your fault that it fell off the lift. We'll get into that a little bit. So what I want to state is a lot of people were saying RIP, the project is done, blah, blah, blah. I'm actually gonna finish this, get it running and driving, and in the meantime, drive it around. It's gonna be a little bit mangled here and there, and we do have a plan for this chassis, but eventually I'm gonna throw the whole SCAT pack swap into another chassis. So I did have a subscriber from Colorado Springs message me. He said he has an 08. It just doesn't have like an engine or tranny. He's gonna pull all the interior out of it because he's putting all the interior in a Charger, which works out perfectly for me. So he's gonna get the title, I think by the end of next week or something, in the next couple weeks. I'll go pick the car up, which is pretty awesome. It looks pretty much about as straight as this one was before it fell off the lift. And we'll just go from there. I will convert the seat rails. I'll do all the same stuff that I did to this. And then once it's 100% ready, I'll just directly swap everything over. This chassis isn't gonna go to waste. What are we gonna do with this? I have been wanting to build the 1300 horsepower all-wheel drive Magnum with all the new exterior, all that stuff. So that is what's gonna happen to this chassis. We're gonna pretty much turn this thing into a monster, but I need to find a few things before I do it. I need to find an all-wheel drive V8 police car for probably the body and the transmission and some modules. Then I need to wait for the 2020 wide body Charger to come out. So somebody could wreck one or get rear-ended in one, so I can buy one from the auction, because I like the new front bumper. I like that it's wide body. I think a Magnum with wide body, the new style front bumper, all the updated stuff would look a lot better. Getting one hit in the rear is probably gonna be my best bet because I need all the front stuff. And if I get a police car, a Charger police car, I could use all the rear quarter panels, all that stuff for the rear. So I think at the end of the day, this was a tragedy, but at the same time, it was almost a blessing, because I was at the point where I just wanted to get this thing done, and it would have been really nice. I would have still had to paint it. It did have dents here and there. I mean, it wasn't 100% clean, but it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't missing paint. It didn't have huge dents like it does now. So obviously we're gonna get this thing running and driving. For how far it fell, it's actually surprising it didn't do more damage. So we're gonna go from there, and now we're gonna get into what I think happened. So a lot of people in the video and the live stream were like, well, it's your fault, you didn't set the pads right and all of this stuff. So I never actually had the car any lower than this right here. So it never was actually touching the ground the whole day. So there's no way that the pads moved. Also, one other thing was that when I had my head cam on and I actually grabbed this arm, and it's actually weird that this pad is touching the frame, so, or the pinch weld. Let's go with that. So it's weird that it's touching the pinch weld. I'll get into that later. A lot of people were saying, well, the pad wasn't touching. There is a square right here, and on camera, when you're on the other side and there's light, it pretty much just bleaches anything out. If there's a shadow or something, it'll bleach it out when there's light coming through, especially that much light through that hole. When it's dark, everything under the car is dark. So everything was actually set up right. What I think happened, why I think that this started touching, and I probably should have noticed it before the car fell off the lift, and it really wasn't that obvious. So why I think this pad is actually touching, I feel like the lift already flexed once, causing this to actually be lined back up so it touches again, which actually doesn't make sense because this arm sags. So this arm is actually sagging and it's still touching. Why I think it fell off was because the lift, once it got all the way to the top, it wanted to pull it out of the ground. And I have shaken this car right now where it's at, and you can hear one of the bolts over here, actually, it sounds like it's popping. So I'm guessing I'm lucky the lift didn't fall down with the car. What I think is going on is once it got to the top, there was, you know, it has weight in the front, and it seems like something's going on with this arm right here, and it flexed, causing the locks not to, when I was setting the locks, it caused it not to engage the locks because the whole lift on this side flexed, then causing this to pretty much fall off. And you know, you guys know the rest. It fell off, did whatever it was gonna do, and once it was done falling, it finally stopped, and then I pulled it off the lift. So I feel like I'm not gonna use this lift to its full capacity. I feel like I could use it to probably half its capacity with being safe. Buttoning up the wiring harness in the Magnum, and I ended up going with the Challenger wiring harness. There are a few reasons I did this. One reason is that some of the plugs are different. I did end up getting a Charger wiring harness, but when it came, it ended up being kind of mangled, and I really didn't want to use it. And then it had a few plugs that were, you know, a little different. So I'll kind of go into that in a little bit more detail. But the thing I just found out, so in the Challenger, the harness runs over this big bar that is welded across right here, and it gives the car a little bit more rigidity. Well, since this is a four-door, you can't have that bar in there. Well, the funny thing is it's a big hoop that goes over it. So there's my, I guess, 4 inches that I needed the wiring harness to be extended. So I'm gonna put the wiring harness into the Magnum sheathing, this little plastic thing right here. I was gonna use this Charger wiring harness that I got from a subscriber, but I had some issues with it. So it was supposed to come and it was supposed to have just the airbag connectors cut off of it, or some airbag connectors. And it ended up having a bunch of other ones. So what I'm gonna use the harness for is it has all the wiring for all 4 doors and the windows. So I'm gonna take that out of there eventually. Right now I'm not gonna do it, but one difference why I didn't use this harness for the Magnum and I ended up using the Challenger harness, this plug right here is different. So this plug on the Challenger harness is gray and it's a 10 pin, and this one's an 11 pin. And this connector for the parking brake was cut off. So I'm not exactly sure why there's an extra wire on the Charger harness, but I can't find a wiring diagram. So that's kind of an issue. If I had a wiring diagram like 240s or older cars, I could kind of get the layout of the harness from the wiring diagram, kind of figure out where things go. So there are pretty much no other differences from that. So all of this is the same. This body control module right here, I use the Challenger one, but it is also the same. I could probably throw this in there. It has all the same connectors. It might be coded to the key. I'm not exactly sure. So that's why I ended up using the Challenger one. These plugs are all the same right here. All these plugs are the same. The only difference on this side, so this is the passenger front door, and that right there is the passenger rear door. So we have the one plug for the seat that was cut off, and the plug over here for the seat was also cut off. So that's another reason I didn't end up using this harness. And it was pretty funny. The guy charged me like an extra $100 for the parking sensors, and then he didn't even send them. So I don't know, kind of weird. But I'm gonna use this harness is pretty much I guess, just for kind of if I need any wiring or need to extend any wires and just stuff like that. So we'll just kind of get the Challenger harness into the Magnum 100%. And once the harness is in there, I can throw the carpet I just cleaned in there, and the interior is looking really fresh. So it is pretty late now, but I have a really, really good surprise for you guys. Now, all the interior except for the seats in the rear seats is in the Magnum, and there's power connected, and I haven't started it yet, but I mean, it's not good. Having a little bit of an issue with the Magnum. So the wiring, we all knew it was going to be a little bit different, but one thing is the keyless entry has an antenna, and supposedly on the Challenger it is in the driver door. I'm not exactly sure. So what I'm having an issue with right now is it says it doesn't detect the key fob. So I decided to try to plug the door in, and to my surprise, the front doors, they plug directly in. So what I'm going to do now, I'm not exactly sure. I'm guessing, I've heard that the keyless entry or the antenna key or the antenna is in the back door of the 4-door cars. So what I really need to do is get the antenna into this door so I can get this thing to actually key on. So it does this, it gets all mad that it doesn't have a key, and it says it doesn't have the key, but it's just because there's no antenna. So let's figure this out, and then maybe we can get this thing started. I finally got all the swap stuff to actually key on. I think the battery in the remote is either almost dead or very low, but now everything is on, and this is why I really wanted this interior in here. One other reason is because this is a SCAT pack option, and it has launch mode, launch RPM setup, and I could set up a bunch of different drive modes. So it's just so much better than just throwing a 6.4 into a Magnum and then wiring it into the factory stuff, because you don't have all the new technology. So this is pretty awesome. Now I have electric power steering, I have launch control. I think what I'm gonna do now is start the car up. It doesn't have the cats or anything on it. It doesn't have the drive shaft. I just wanna verify that it'll start. And then tomorrow I'll throw coolant in it, change the oil, throw the drive shaft in, throw the cats, throw the exhaust on, and pretty much get it the rest of the way buttoned up. I have not yet put the seats in here yet, but everything otherwise is pretty much done. I need to mount this mirror. I'm also not exactly sure what this is for, so I'm gonna put that goes directly next to the mirror. I thought it was for the keyless or the fob remote, but I don't think it is. And pretty much just kind of button some stuff up tomorrow, and maybe by the end of the week I can actually get this thing driving. I guess we'll see. First start, let's go. All right, so that is pretty awesome that the car started right up, no issues. I need to get a new battery for the key fob or figure out what is going on with the key fob antenna. Not exactly sure which one is for the key fob antenna. I pretty much have everything connected. I disconnected the door, didn't seem really to help any, so I don't think there is an antenna in the door. I just kind of have to figure it out. So it might just be because that thing next to the mirror isn't on the windshield. I'm not sure, but I'll just have to keep diagnosing it. I also need to connect the antenna for the radio into the back hatch. I need to connect a few things into the back hatch, extend some wires, stuff like that. I'll probably splice into the Magnum wiring harness, which shouldn't be that big of a deal. I need to drop the headliner. I need to put the little antenna on the top of the car as well, and just kind of work my way through the car. But I am super excited that this thing actually runs now. The next thing I need to do to it, change the oil, do the coolant. I ordered the brake lines. I thought these brake lines would work, but they sort of did. I almost had them working, but then this one had a different fitting, which I don't have the fitting because the one off of the Hellcat was actually smashed and I couldn't use it. So what I did was I just ordered the new brake lines. So that should, they should be here within a week, which will be awesome because I could actually drive this thing for the first time. I'll bleed the brakes. Everything else by then should be finished up. It should be ready to go. Also tomorrow I'll throw the seats in. So I have both driver and passenger seat. Like I said, like you guys seen before, the driver's seat has the blown bag. I'll probably just tuck it in, maybe put some bobby pins or something just to hold it for now. But it is so cool that the car actually runs and it's close to driving. So we did have a pretty big mishap, but now we're kind of pushing past that. We'll fix all the body stuff and kind of go through it here and there. I got the hatch open finally, and everything pretty much with the hatch has a little dent on the back of it, but it's not that big of a deal. So if you like these videos, I think I'm going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends if they love Magnums or love Dodge stuff. Also, thumbs up, throw a comment below, and see you guys next time.